Hold up, I ain't trying to stump, man, but the Yeezys jumped over the jump, man. I be in and out of arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen. Left my elbow in the pot, a la Vince Carter.
Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
James Harden with the range on me, nigga, way back.
Coach, they won't knock me off my pivot, forget it.
Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs arm and a hoop shit.
And you can live through anything if magic made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
Yes, sir. We are back. Round of applause for yourselves. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease, and we got some interesting stuff on the docket for today. Marcus Morris, along with his brother, quickly gained control of the narrative as he was arrested in the airport with his family, and the media quickly tossed out headlines where his character was coming into question. Right now, it's a very sensitive time for NBA players to get caught up in any kind of scandal involving casinos. But good thing for the NBA players having their own media space, they were able to clear things up and clarify what was going on. And LeBron James meets with Jokic's agent, but it's not for the reasons you think. We're going to hear from a prominent media member from LeBron's hometown, in which he states the real reason for the meeting, and it begins to show LeBron's real ambitions. I'm always saying his real GOATness does not come from what he's doing on the court, but it's really the things that he's doing in the game of life. Daryl Morey lets it be known that behind the scenes around NBA circles, it's believed that the Lakers' bubble 2020 championship has an asterisk on it. And with Daryl Morey being no stranger to making controversial statements, especially after his situation in China, he began to receive a little extra media attention, especially at a time where Joel Embiid is really on shaky grounds with the 76ers organization and also the direction that they're taking. We'll go into a deeper dive of a very timely article in which Joel Embiid did a very personal sit down and revealed a lot of what was going on around him, what is his current mind state, and finally, what is his current outlook on the future of him and the 76ers. So within the story of Marcus Morris being arrested at the Fort Lauderdale International Airport while with his family over gambling debts, it exposed quite a few things. First being that the casinos definitely flex their powers, showing that they have overreach that can cross multiple jurisdictions. Second, within the media and their rush to be the first one to put out a story, there is no fact checking. It was reported by multiple outlets that he ran a quote-unquote scheme, the MGM and the Win to be exact, and the details went as far as to saying that he wrote multiple bad checks, which turned out not to be true. The third thing that we have found out that a lot of you fellas who mess with the casino should know is that they could issue out a warrant for your arrest if you owe them as low as $1,200, which is insane. We're talking about an NBA player who's played 13 seasons and who's netted over $100 million. So there's a lot of dynamics here at play. So in this segment, we're going to hear directly from Marcus Morris and his brother as they spoke on the situation. And it's a beautiful thing that the media landscape right now, the way it's organized, players have outlets to actually verify which information is true and which is not. So as I said, we're going to hear directly from the Morris brothers, and we'll also get insight from two former NBA players on exactly how it is to be in debt with the casinos. What are the dynamics here at play? How bone crushing could it be to pay back those markers, aka loans, to the casinos? Las Vegas historically has been a town that has been ran by the mob over 60 years ago. That town has always originated that way, very similar to the skylines of Miami being built up in the 1980s from cocaine money. So Marcus Morris, as well as his brother, spoke on the dynamics that took place. And keep in mind, these guys are family men. They built themselves up to get into the NBA with a lot of hard work and dedication, just for the media to rush and put out false information out there. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Just for the guys that don't know, and I'm gonna make this clear, and I'm gonna say it once or twice, and I'm gonna keep it at that. I've never physically wrote a check with my name from my bank account to anybody.
Right.
Forget the casinos.
Right.
To anybody. I've never done that. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've always dealt with wire. We always, whatever it is, you don't even have to go. Yeah, like we don't have to. You know what I mean? And again, I don't want to look at it like I'm upset. I'm not upset. Vegas did what they did. What I'm upset about is that you know, my mindset on how this really should have been, right? Like just knowing how long we've been playing in Vegas, how many times we took markers out, how many times we repaid those markers. And it never just dawned on me that, or even in the fine print, that you can possibly be arrested
for that type of shit.
You know, for that type of thing. And I think, and that's the part where I want to teach, like, or even talk to, you know, the younger athletes, the younger people in the world, the older athletes, the guys that's around our age, is that in that fine print, when you do receive a marker from casinos, if it's up to $1,200 and you don't pay it when you don't pay it whenever it says you're supposed to pay, even if it's a day late, they can't issue a warrant. Technically, nowhere else they could do that. Vegas can technically issue you a warrant for your arrest, right? So I just want to make that clear that I physically never ever wrote a check with my name on it from my account to a casino in exchange for money to be able to do what I want to do with it, or go somewhere with the money, right? Like when you get a marker, and this might go over some people's head, because everybody's don't gamble. Everybody don't gamble at a certain level, right? So you might not even understand what I'm even saying, right? Like, but when you receive a marker, that's money to gamble at the casino. It's not money to go cash in to put in your pocket to do anything else you want to do with it. Right. So if I'm gambling in there, right? And then, you know, it was talked about, like, it was multiple casinos. We gambled at 2 casinos the entire time we've ever been there. So like just make that clear. I'm not hopping from casino to casino, taking out markets. Like, this gambleraholics. This is not that. And you might think, you know, whatever it is. I'm not asking, or again, I'm not apologizing. I'm telling you exactly what happened, and I enjoyed myself. And this is something that we do every year. And you know, if I would have 1 second thought to myself, like, I can actually be locked up, I would have never done. I would have never even, like, we going to the bank. I'm gonna go to the bank and just bring all cash if I'm gonna implement myself of fucking with my character first and foremost. And like,
even though these guys are high profile NBA players, we still have to humanize them, because at the end of the day, that title the media put on him of being a rich guy who writes bad checks is a very crazy position to be in when you're a multi-millionaire. Let's say he's going out to buy a car, or he's sending his kids to maybe a private school, or just think about his day-to-day, the places that he goes to. These are high net worth individuals, and just to have that stigma on you, a lot of places are not going to want to fuck with him. But as Marcus Morris continues to tell his side of the story, he's going to reveal that even though he's known in the NBA circles as being a tough guy, they have never been processed through the system nor been arrested. They have clean records. It's almost as if the aura that made him a lot of money on the court and is now coming back around and hurting him in his real life. That's the beautiful thing about them having their own platform. They can get their story straight to the audience, but unfortunately, the same national media that threw up the quick story and the quick headlines, they're not going to follow up with this response.
Putting me in jail in front of my family. That's the part where I felt like it hurt the most, man. So just like going forward, while you know, we're talking about it, like you said, just giving, you know, other athletes or other significant people that, like, you know, that's on this level that gamble sometimes, like, or just like to, you know, sign papers or whatever it is make sure, you know, however old you are, just make sure you read and everything, right? Make sure you know exactly what's going on, because this was a situation where obviously you didn't know that this can possibly happen, right? Yeah, for sure. It doesn't even make sense. I wouldn't even, to work as hard as we work to get to this point that we at now, I would never put myself in a position and still go back there. That's the crazy part. We end up in Vegas and continue to gamble. That's the funny part. We was in Vegas 2 weeks ago, right? Like, or at Summer League, I would have expected, if it was just to that extreme, right? Like, so you know how this shit transpired. I mean, we sitting at the Burger King ordering food for the kids. You get the call like, ain't feeding. Why you feeding your kids Burger King? We cracking up. We having a ain't that crazy to feed your kid? I'm like, so we cracking up, laughing. We go sit down. I look up. It's 10 big ass cops with big ass guns and big ass vests. They like looking at us. I'm like, hold up, ain't no fucking way you looking over here. Like, what?
Once again, look at the level of aggression, and the Vegas casinos could do this over as little as $1,200. We're talking about a multi-millionaire that's with his family, and they're coming up to him with this level of hostility. That's insane. I can only imagine. Once again, we got to humanize these guys. because this side of the story was never reported. It definitely would have read a lot different in the headlines.
What can possibly be happening
to,
at this
to,
point?
to have all this
Right.
going on right now.
If I'm them, I'm turning around. I see 6 kids right here.
right.
I see my mom sitting right here.
Right.
Your family,
Right,
like, you know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
So it's like, possibly, I don't know what these dudes coming over here
Right,
talking
right.
about. They say whatever they say, you know what I mean? And they walk me over, you know, and I'm telling y'all, go ahead, I handle whatever it is.
Can't be crazy,
It can't
right.
be nothing. Like,
Right.
my hands
Right.
clean. Like, what we talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I walk over. Motherfuckers put me in handcuffs and shackles.
Now look at that. This is an NBA guy, multi-millionaire. He's with his kids. He said that there was about 6 kids around with his wife, his mother, his whole family. And just look at the level of aggression that a casino all the way in Vegas has to put someone that normally goes there and consistently gambles and has a relationship with the casinos. This is the ugly side that we don't get to see from when the various sports leagues are over advertising and tell their audience to mess with the sports books.
I'm confused at this
Right,
point. I'm
right.
like, whatever it
hell
is, it
no.
don't require this right here.
Right,
like
right.
we can let me walk out this motherfucker.
No bullshit.
You know, I could keep it moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And we can figure out whatever it is here at this airport right now. You know what I'm saying? And little do I know how it was going to go. And when they put me in the shot and they put me in the car, they really had no idea.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What
They
was
were
happening,
just
right.
following the order.
Protocol. Right.
So now I'm confused because now it's nobody to talk to.
Talk to, right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm like,
Bullshit.
God damn, I got to get to bro. So he can, you know what I'm saying,
out
figure out
what the
whatever
fuck the
whatever
problem is,
happened.
right.
So my mind, and you know, we laugh and we talk about it, but it's like serious in my mind. I never been to jail. I don't even know the situation. I don't even know what happens when you get to the
right.
door.
Right.
Like, I don't even know. So when I
Bullshit.
get there,
Right.
they telling me, take all my shit off. Take all my shit off.
Right.
Put me in a holding cell.
Right.
Handle this shit like men. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like I ain't
Right. Well, what
commit
you-
no
what you
crimes
using,
now,
right.
not knowingly that.
This is
So they
what's happening,
say,
right.
you know what I'm saying? That's what that is. I'm like, let's handle this.
Yeah.
No, I went through the entire process. Like it was take everything off, get the flip flops that I couldn't fit,
Right.
put the joint on that I couldn't fit. So now in my head, I'm like, this gonna look crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm walking through this thing, it's gonna look crazy. So
Right.
it's not funny. I'm like, come on, we at some point, like this
Right.
shit gotta be all right, yeah, we going too far now. You feel what I'm saying?
And how was it when you was sitting? I remember you called me. You was talking to me for 50 minutes in the middle of the joint. How was that little?
Yeah,
little
hey
situation?
man, it was different, but it was crazy because, like I said, they all had to go in when I was able to
Came
come
out,
out.
right.
So now, you know, if I'm out and I'm on the phone with you, I turn around, everybody in their cell at the window,
Right.
looking like, yo, what's up? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just like really trying to engage and being like, you know what I mean? And me coming from where we come from, I don't look at people like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm
ton-
looking at
no,
you as a
ton of
man.
motherfuckers
What's
that
up?
been in
Like,
jail.
y'all
like,
good?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Tell us just to hear your
Yeah,
story or where you from and shit. And I thought it was funny,
Yeah.
but the craziest part, I'm on the this shit I see on TV.
Right.
I'm really on a jail call with my brother.
Right.
Like, you know
Oh,
what I'm
bullshit,
saying? Like,
yeah.
what are we talking about here?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, and everybody watching me, and I know in their mind, they probably like, I know that nigga.
Yeah.
I know his head all over the place.
no
You know what I'm saying?
bullshit.
Facts. His head had to have been all over the place because at the same time, when you look at the casinos that he owed money to, the Wynn and the MGM Grand, they have business relationships with the NBA. So they definitely should have gave the league the heads up to avoid headlines like this when you have situations like DeJounte Porter and Malik Beasley lingering over the league. This headline right here was completely avoidable in a month where the NBA has numerous stories lingering around with players being in debt and also being linked to sort of fixing prop bets.
He told us he was about to go to Bahamas. His old lady went to Morocco.
Oh, right.
And he was in a blink of an eye. And then when I
Snap.
come out and I think about it, I was like, damn, that was a crazy jump.
And I know you didn't eat. What
Yeah.
the fuck was they giving you? Like, what was the joint looking
Bro,
like?
I didn't heard so many stories, watch so many TV, so I just knew it was bullshit. Like I ain't even engage in
Engaging
it.
and shit.
They came without, I don't even open my
Yeah.
nah, I don't want it. But I asked for water. I was
Yeah.
like, can I just get some water? It was like, we don't have water.
Damn, that's some inhumane shit. We don't have water. That is wild, but that is not shocking. Myself, I don't have any jail experience, thank God, but I remember in Brooklyn, there was a jail on 3rd Avenue in Sunset Park during the winter months when NYC is normally around at night 10 degrees to 0. The same jail that they held P. Diddy in, they did not have heat for over 4 months during that winter. So inhumane conditions is nothing new, but damn, having no water, that's some next level shit.
And when they said that, I was throwed off. I'm like, you don't have water, you don't got the little penny content, like you don't got. They like, we don't have water. She took a cup, tossed the cup in the cell, and said you could use the sink.
Damn, my man got to use that pissy ass sink where motherfuckers is probably shitting, spitting. They're using it as an ashtray for cigarettes. Who knows what the fuck is going on? Blood, all kinds of shit is in there.
Rust stains, shit stains, piss stains.
Yeah.
There's no toilet seat. It's just the toilet. Right. I'm just like,
God damn, even the fucking toilet is naked. I'm surprised that shit just wasn't a hole.
no toilet seat. It's just the toilet.
Right.
I'm just like, damn, I can't even drink water. So the entire time, that 51 hours, I ain't eat nothing or I ain't drink. No, matter of fact, I had a bag of chips. Shout out to the homie that came to the cell and was like, bro, I see you didn't eat nothing. You know, here go a bag of chips. And this shit might sound like a move, but he really did that. And I was like, damn. So when I left out,
man, you being in jail, that shit was a play. He was hoping that you was going to bless him on the other end. Because at the end of the day, to him, you NBA.
Shout out to the homie that came to the cell and was like, bro, I see you didn't eat nothing. You know, here go a bag of chips. And this shit might sound like a move, but he really did that. And I was like, damn. So when I left out, I told you when I left out, I got his information and said, you know, I'm going to bless him. I think he got set like 5 years or something like that. I don't know what he did. I'm not putting his information out there. But, you know what I mean? That was a blessing. That was the first time I actually ate, man. That shit was smooth.
And he was conversating, man. He was talking to you.
Yeah, man, keeping me up. Because I had to ask that nigga what time it was probably 100 times. Yo, what time is it? What time is it, bro? So I'll be out here in a second. What time is it? Was it 2 hours?
Now, they kept him in there for 2 days, and the fact that he's a high-profile star, they had to keep an eye on him, not only for his safety around others, but also himself, as that is the protocol.
Couldn't have been 2 hours, you feel what I'm saying? But, you know, shout out to Cuz for definitely throwing me them chips, and I'm definitely going to bless you, bro.
So, the last joint I want to ask you was, how did you feel when they came to you and was like, you getting out this joint, even though you knew it was coming soon?
Yeah.
You just ain't know when.
Let me tell you, I don't know what time it is on the clock, but I packed it in to where I was gonna have to stay another day, right? Because I don't understand jail, so I'm thinking about jail as banks. Right. Bank closed at 5, unless you made that wire on the other side. I'm thinking about Vegas time. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn, it's 6 o'clock. The second I crossed my legs and put the cover over my head, she made a call. I heard it on the loudspeaker. Morris, you free to go. I go to step, a dog that just told me, that gave me the chips, was still around that same time. Yo, they said you can get out. Mind you, I'm not even supposed to walk on the block with them. They disregarded that. Opened the cell door, I ran out that joint, got to the thing, got the couple cuz information, got his information, and then I'm walking through the jail, and it's not funny, but like niggas was clapping.
Damn, on some Green Mile shit. On some Green Mile shit. This sounds like a fucking movie.
Knocking on the joint, you know what I'm saying? Like hey, just let me home.
I'm like this sitting in that joint looking crazy,
this is crazy.
Shout out to Joe, man, for showing the love, though. That's real.
But man, listen, that ain't a place for nobody, bro. If you can stay out of that joint, man, I highly advise it. Seriously,
stay out that joint.
Seriously.
So for the people that don't know, and it's not funny because it's court, but for the people that don't know, we knew you wasn't getting a bond already. We already knew the situation. So I mean, everybody was putting it out like, oh, they not letting him out. We already knew the situation.
Yeah, it was it. Hey,
so it was a little funny in the courtroom when it happened, because again, like, court is not funny. Joe ain't funny, but it was a little shit that was going on in there that
transpired. That was different, right?
You know, during that bond hearing, I don't know why they had him in shackles. I didn't understand that. You wouldn't know his name is Marcus Morris. You would think his name is Marcus Manson, the way they had him tied up.
Exactly. You know, talking to the lawyers, they told me exactly what needed to happen. Right. Obviously, you know, I twin shit. I was able to, bet. Right. You know what I mean? This is going to move regardless of the bond or what was going to happen or what she was saying. You know what I mean? I honestly didn't want to bond because I ain't going to have to pay him twice. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, to be honest, but when, you know, I knew that was happening, I knew I was about to get out, you know, it was a little bit more easier. But the part that threw me the fuck off Because one of my homies was in there. You know what I mean? Showing love and supporting and showing up.
Yeah.
And she was saying, don't talk to him. You know what I'm saying? So as he walking out, you know, he got to say his 2-3 words and nigga almost got me 10 extra days in jail.
What he said?
Well, he told me, hold your head. I'm about to get out. He told me, hold your head. Hey, man,
took him down.
Gave me 10 days for that shit.
Took him down for that shit. Right?
It's not funny.
Crazy.
It's not funny, but at the time, because I knew I was about to get out, it made me go back to the cell and make it a little easier. This nigga don't even, you know what I'm saying? You could tell we never been in here. We don't do this type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Those institutionalized motherfuckers knew it right away that they ain't never been in jail. But once again, the Morris brothers, their image on the court was them being tough guys. But unfortunately for a lot of celebrities or people with notoriety, outside of that television perspective, sometimes outside people struggle to tell the difference.
You know, that was another funny time. That was you know what I mean? It was like, I can say this, like, I don't put it on anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to talk about jail. I'm not going to talk about what people do. I'm not going to talk about that. Seeing what I seen, I won't put it on anybody. So this is my message to any of the youth that watches, or any of the athletes, or any of the young men. Jail's not the place, like, and I'm so serious about it. It's not the place. But and they supposed to have treat me good,
Right.
So they say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn, they're supposed to treat him good? They didn't even have fucking water for him. They told him get it from the pissy ass sink.
So get back to it. I'm gonna skim through this fast. My first 24 hours, they put me in a psych ward. All right, you know what I'm saying? With the lights on for 24 hours, nothing to drink, no sheets, no towels, no face wash, even though I wouldn't have washed my face with the sink anyway.
Damn, Marcus Morris had to wash his face in that dirty ass sink. Man, that water must have had COVID in it. Fuck.
But just the fact, because they said high profile characters, they got to keep an eye on to make sure they don't do nothing to themselves.
Right.
So my whole 24 hours, the first 24 hours, when I got in there like 3:30 on Sunday, that whole time I'm sitting in the cell until I got out early Monday to go to court to find out that we couldn't talk to Vegas till Tuesday, which you didn't even know, and you calling me thinking you about to handle it, and in the back of my mind, I'm already knowing I'm sitting till Tuesday. Right. Because they're not even gonna get on the phone with us. The guys in there telling me exactly what was gonna happen. Right. So from 3:30 until 3:30 the next day, when they took me back, I was in the psych ward the whole time. Just with the lights on too. I couldn't, like, even during night, 5:30 a.m. the lights is on. Right. Like beaming. They come in every 3 hours checking on me. You good, Mr. Morris? I'm looking. Am I good? Right. I ain't gonna
about to be in Vegas,
but am I?
Now those officers ain't got no water, but they're asking him if he's good. That's crazy. 2 days in that jail and they ain't got no fresh water, and they're gonna ask him if he's good.
Am I good? Right. I ain't gonna
about to be in Vegas,
but am I good?
I should be in Bahamas.
You don't even know how life just changed for me,
right?
Like,
right,
something
right.
that's
crazy.
I didn't commit, or something that I didn't feel like it was a crime. Like, this is just fun for me. Like, this is fun times. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
so like, just to look at it from there, and then, you know, I went to, you know, protective custody, and I'm gonna speak on this, and I'm gonna make it clear. You know, it wasn't fun, man, but it was some good men in there that made that little other 20 hours, and you can laugh and say I wasn't in there that long. I was in there for 51 hours. Right. And every second and every minute I thought
like
about
hours.
and I know my family was in there with me, and that's the part where it was like hurting me, because I'm like, damn, I know they can't move on. Right. I know they can't sleep. I know they can't do nothing. I know they can't stop thinking. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because something that we built, and we knew that we couldn't let nobody like take that
nothing
away,
can take that away from her, or even put on your all that weird bullshit. Right.
And that was the part. But again, man, it was, you know, I was in PC, so I wasn't able to physically like be around the guys, but they was coming to my cell, they was talking to me, you know what I'm saying, and it actually helped me for the time I was there, just having a conversation, being able to talk to you, and you know what I mean, I didn't eat the entire time, I didn't drink none the entire time, and you know, I ended up getting out on a Tuesday at 6, you know what I mean, they did whatever they did, and just to close this out, like, this is nothing to Vegas, and this is nothing for me to tell any athletes. You can't do what you like doing. What I'm telling you is just pay attention to what you're signing, and be careful. Even if you feel like you've been there for a lot of years, and you kind of, you know what I mean, showed your credit and showed your worth in there, it doesn't matter.
Right. This is what's on paper, and this is what they can do. So before you do that, or before you think it's cool to do it, just watch it and sign. You know what I'm saying? And if you need help gambling, you seek out somebody for game. This is not about needing help gambling. Right. This is about something I like to do and that I was unaware of and that I should have took care of. Because if I've known that was even a midget of a possibility on call when I took it out, it would have been done. You know what I'm saying? So.
Damn, if that could happen to him and he works for $1 billion company that has strong relations with those casinos, that could happen to anyone. It's crazy how no one behind the scenes in those casinos reached out to other behind the scenes people in the NBA and let them know that there was a warrant out for Morris's arrest. That symbiotic relationship between the league and the casinos, it needs to be on point because they don't really want to have too many negative headlines. And as of late, those things keep piling up. We also got to wonder about the dynamics of owing them money, finding out now that they could put out a warrant for your arrest over just as little as $1,200. And of course, the NBA athletes have millions of dollars. We know they probably gambling $20K, $10K at a time, or even $100K. And now we're going to get more nuance to that exact dynamic, as former Boston Celtic NBA champion Big Baby Glenn Davis spoke on it when Killer Cam from Dipset had asked him, what was the stupidest thing you spent your money on?
What you think the stupidest thing you bought with your money?
Stupidest? I don't really think nothing I bought was stupid. You know, I would just think gambling. 50,000.
Yeah.
20, 30.
Yeah, in one pot.
Yeah, like, you know, like 100K. You gotta pay to Vegas 200K.
Gotcha.
That's wild.
Gotcha.
I think that's the wildest things I was doing.
Cool.
Now right there, he said it in jest, but he clearly took out a marker for 100K. And with some of the casinos, the repayment stipulations on that 100K would be an additional 100K back. But sometimes that's how they tend to get caught up in the bullshit. But Big Body Kendrick Perkins also spoke on this nuance as he himself got caught up in this dynamic. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
So let me say this. As a guy that used to be a big time gambler at casinos, like 4 or 5 years ago, I actually had an addiction in gambling. I actually went up to the casino and signed myself that I would never gamble again. Not that they made me, I did it, right? Like I did it. I was a blackjack type of guy. And what happens with these markers, when you take a marker out from the casino, is basically you're getting a marker and you have 30 days to pay the marker back. If you don't pay the marker back, then it's labeled as quote unquote fraud or you writing a bad check. Because when you go and you take the line of credit, you know that basically what they're saying is you knew that you didn't have the funds. And they recently, over the last 10 years, that they could charge you criminally. Now, I will say this, the casinos don't want to go that route with you unless they feel like you disrespected them. Disrespect meaning lack of communication, or you can call and say, you know what, hey, give me another 30 days and I'll pay the marker off, or give me 6 months and I'll pay the marker down.
Now, one thing with Marcus Morris, he did owe this debt for over a year. That's a dynamic him and his brother didn't get too much into the details of, but he did take out the line of credit from the MGM Grand in the Wynn Casino for over a year.
Until, or whatever. But if you ignored them, because if you ignored them, they have a problem with you. Because I saw yesterday when he was actually in court, they released it yesterday or 2 days ago, and his attorney walked up, and his attorney said the wire has been sent. The judge still denied him bond. Like at that point, it was like, no. The money, send the money, cool, but we're trying to make an example because for however amount of period, we tried to contact Mr. Morris. We wanted not for this to get this far. And so that it did got this far, no, you're gonna sit down. And I mean, literally his lawyer was like, well, your attorney, Your Honor, you have this. You could like, grant him bond or whatever. And they was like, no, because he's in Florida, and they're gonna extradite him to Las Vegas. So at this point, they're just being assholes on purpose because they felt disrespected. Until the prosecution say, you know what, we'll dismiss this warrant. We got the money. We feel good now. We feel like he's learned his lesson type stuff. And now we'll dismiss this warrant. You don't even have to go to a hearing. Now he has a bond. But this is bigger than just the payment. And it's not fraud. So like people's like, oh, he committed fraud. It's not fraud. Like it was worded that way, but this is what happens when you have a casino debt. Take it from someone that actually had a casino debt. Like I know what gambling could do to you. Like, bro, you go to them fucking casinos and you sit there and all of a sudden you're like, hey, let me get a line of credit for $20,000. They give you $20,000 and you smoke the shit. Then you say, bring me $30,000 more. And then you're sitting there, you're gambling all day, and next thing you know, you're 100 bands in the hole and you're walking out of there with the shit face. I'm telling you, I lived the shit, and I'm telling you, it wasn't nothing the casino said. I said, I'm done. Fuck this shit. Where do I sign? I don't even want to gamble no more. Real talk. It's real life, though. It's real life. People go through shit and shit happen. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, shit, they denied him bond? That means he was being very, very fucking disrespectful. To
your point, as someone, like you mentioned, went through it, his brother also, Markeith, had posted on Twitter a couple of days ago saying basically what you just said, Perk. The wording is crazy. Damn, for that amount of money, they'll embarrass you in an airport with your family. They got y'all thinking bro did some fraud shit. They could have came to the crib for all that. When y'all hear the real story on this shit, man, all I can say is lesson learned.
You don't go and write a check to the casino and tell them to hold it. That's just part of the terminology once you take out a line of credit. Once they file criminal charges, they take it as if you wrote a bad check, but you really did.
Hey, maybe Kendrick Perkins might be onto something right here. The casinos possibly could have a link to some of the PR headlines that Marcus Morris is currently getting. The wording is crazy, and it could be a shaming ritual to drag his name through the mud because they feel disrespected. But at the end of the day, they do have a lot of pull and reach. The Florida police did make the arrest at Fort Lauderdale International Airport, and they did deny him bond, and even to a point where they were willing to extradite him back to Nevada. So very mafioso from MGM Grand as well as the win. And this will be one of many headlines yet to come, as the NBA chose to lay in bed with the gambling companies. So any news, even something so minute when it comes to gambling involving any kind of NBA players or affiliations, the stories are not only going to blow up twice as much, but because of the media landscape right now where everyone's quick to put out a story, a lot of false narratives will come with it, and it could be an eyesore for the league. So this will be a continuation of my series of what exactly is the thing that LeBron James is really the GOAT of. And this will be volume 3, as the voices are getting louder and louder within NBA media circles of LeBron James and Maverick Carter beginning to execute on their plan to collaborate with Sovereign Money to formulate a league in the Middle East. And in the previous segment, we heard directly from Stephen A. Smith, as he alluded to in multiple occasions, of the NBA owners not necessarily willing to help LeBron James in their circle due to some of the changes that he sort of enforced in the league as far as player empowerment, not necessarily being on board with the in-season tournament, and also him not leading the charge in the effort that gets put in during the All-Star games. In 2024, it was said that he side-eyed Larry Bird and other NBA legends when they try to talk up the players. And in 2025, LeBron James showed up last minute. He dressed in street clothes in order to take team photos. And at the very last minute, he announced that he wasn't playing due to injury. So once again, in the last segment, we heard a lot from Stephen A. Smith alluding to this. And also we heard from Adam Silver as well as a FIBA official, as now the NBA will collaborate and formulate a new European league. With online access, the world is a bit more flat, and the leagues are trying to capitalize. There's a lot of money to be made, and what happens when NBA ownership is no longer the pinnacle for LeBron James. So in this segment, we'll hear from Chris Broussard as he lets it be known the real reason of why LeBron James was pictured on that yacht with Jokic's agent. Again, LeBron James's real goatness comes from the fact that he opened up the players' eyes to the realities of the business side of the game. And the King nickname serves him well because he really does think like one. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
As far as the Jokic, LeBron, Maverick Carter photo, a lot of people are talking about LeBron joining forces with Jokic. I don't see that at all. Now, what is possible, he mentions, fall of 2026. That is when LeBron will be a free agent. If he wanted to go play with Jokic on the veterans minimum or maybe the mid-level exception, whatever they could offer him, then I guess that's possible. LeBron does like playing with high IQ players. He obviously has tons of respect for Jokic's game, so he could go have fun with that. I don't see that happening, but I think this was more about, remember, LeBron's best friend and business partner, Maverick Carter, is starting this international league that presumably is going to try to compete with the NBA, and Jokic's agent has a ton of European players, as you might imagine. So I think it was more so about how they can work together and join forces for that league and what players might be able to play for it and so on and so forth than about LeBron teaming up with Jokic. As delicious as that would be, I don't see it happening. LeBron may have even given him that, so like, this is how you word it, because that's typical LeBron, putting it out there, making us wonder, and oh my gosh, could this happen? But I'd be floored if LeBron and Jokic ever played together.
Now, the possibilities of LeBron joining the Nuggets as a free agent is almost virtually impossible. This team does not like to pay the luxury tax. As for those of you that are watching the visual version, you can see it right here. They're already almost at the second apron, and LeBron is definitely not taking a pay cut. But the very keen detail was Broussard speaking about how Jokic's agent has a lot of clients that are European players. And with LeBron putting Mav Carter in the proper position to work with the sovereign money in the Middle East, which compared to the NBA and a lot of industries in America overall, it's a lot more money. That region in general globally is looking to rebrand their image, and they're using sports as one of the many vehicles to do it, as we've seen from the success of the 2022 Qatar World Cup. I spoke about it in the previous segment. I'll link it in the description below. But right now, there's plenty of opportunity and plenty of money to be made. That's why I stated earlier with the Stephen A. Smith comments. What happens when LeBron James owning an NBA team is no longer the pinnacle, and now he could have the opportunity to be part owner of a league and even to a degree participate in it in order to promote it, just like how Magic Johnson did when he went to Sweden in the late 90s, which never really gets talked about. I'm pretty sure behind the scenes phone calls were made because he wasn't necessarily out there to play for the team. He was out there to own it. And the NBA did not want all those marketing dollars and the promotion that was put into Magic Johnson for him to be that global figure to go over there and be used to promote a league that could eventually become competition. So there's a lot of dynamics here at play. You got streaming, which opens up the door for every single league, whether it be MLB, NFL, NBA, to go global. And you also got the endless sovereign money that's in the Middle East, and they're looking to rebrand their image using sports. Unlike Magic Johnson in 1999 when he went to Sweden, LeBron James definitely has more tools in his arsenal to shake shit up in a whole different way. Just imagine the NBA having to compete with a league that can pay players, especially when they get into their late 20s and early 30s, 10 times more money than the NBA could in order to play in a league in the Middle East. And we could even sprinkle a little sauce on top of that. Just imagine if LeBron James played in that league until he was 45. The way he's maintained his body, it's almost as if it's perfect timing in order for him to at least finish things out in a whole other business venture. That's why I call this series, What is LeBron James Really the GOAT of? And it's starting to look like he could be that guy that supersedes anything a player could ever do on the court, because he's showing the rest of his peers on how to move around in life, not only for himself, but strategically putting his friends in certain positions, Rich Paul with Clutch Sports, so he already has that experience, and Mav Carter on the media and business side. So a friend of his linking up with Sovereign Money doesn't sound crazy when it hits the headlines. But we'll see how it plays out. Historically, the NBA never has really liked competition. In my previous segments, we've heard Ice Cube speak on it. And also we could look at the relationship between the NBA and ABA when they were going back and forth, stealing players from one another. So ironically, Daryl Morey continues to run his mouth. Ever since the NBA China incident, you would think he would calm down. And yet his comments is making a lot of rounds through the media because he talked about the 2020 bubble and some of the sentiments behind the scenes of how people feel like that championship has an asterisk to it. Now, while Daryl Morey is throwing stones from a glass house, he unexpectedly has a lot of media members as well as the fan bases looking underneath his hood. And surprisingly, Joel Embiid dropped some recent statements on some of his mistrusting with the 76ers. So in this segment, we're going to go over these two dynamics. But first, to start off, we're going to hear what Daryl Morey originally had to say.
Had the Rockets won the title, I absolutely would have celebrated. It is legitimate, knowing the immense effort and resilience required. Yet, everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship. Perhaps the lasting legacy of the NBA bubble is that the NBA should be proud of its leadership at both the beginning and end of the pandemic, even though the champion will forever be marked by an asterisk.
Now, in the earlier portion of his statement, he said had the Rockets won the championship in that bubble, he would have definitely have celebrated it. And when it comes to that 2020 NBA championship, there's a lot of nuances to it. And it shouldn't really be discussed as a throwaway championship. Yeah, it was pretty unusual. There was about a 4-month break. Most teams played about 72 games. In the league at the time, in order to satisfy their contracts with their TV partners, they had to at least play 72 games. So those final games at Disney World that started up in August all the way through October was still not easy to go through. A lot of NBA players normally time when they have their children. So during the summer months, their kids tend to pop out. And there were a lot of players going in and out the bubble for that reason. And also in order to come back to the team, and a lot of players had to go through protocols. And mentally it was tough. The world was going through a pandemic. A lot of people were dying due to the virus. And this did play out for one of the main contending teams that season, which is the 2020 LA Clippers. Montrezl Harrell lost his grandmother, and it completely changed the aura of that team. But at the end of the day, that championship is still legit because NBA fans got something that we never really seen before. And with no fans and any extra spectacles around the court, we got to see the best of the best just go up against each other with the hardwood floors. Sneakers were squeaking, there was no distractions. You even had players like TJ Warren looking like Michael Jordan out here, averaging 40 points a game. The bubble was crazy, but it was straight up basketball, no distractions. Just the way that season played out, even with the finals happening in October. Normally, these kind of nuances never really get talked about. But there always has been an aura around that 2020 championship as if it didn't count because there was no parade, there was no fans in the stands. Even Alex Caruso, most recently in this year's finals, has sort of even acknowledged that as he reflected from being part of the 2025 Oklahoma City Thunder championship.
A championship is a championship, but there were 70 people in the gym when you won your first one.
Yeah.
How much better?
Probably like 150, but
maybe 100, maybe even 200. But
maybe.
How much better does this one feel?
Yeah, now I got a real one. Now nobody can say anything. Good basketball is good basketball. Winning basketball is winning basketball, and the best team can win no matter what happens if you go out there and execute and do the stuff that you need to do to win the game.
And that right there is the reason why there should never be an asterisk on the Lakers 2020 championship. The same dynamics were still at play. But you can even make an argument the mental aspect had to even be more on point. And that's where LeBron James' true leadership showed in that situation. But not all championships are created equal. Because if that was the case, Bill Russell would be the GOAT. But the reason why he doesn't necessarily get that credit is that in the era that he played, there was only a limited number of NBA teams. So when discussing certain championships, the nuances need to be brought up. So if we can touch base on some of those dynamics for Bill Russell's rings, we could do the same thing for the 2020 championship. They both count, but there were definitely certain nuances that did take place within those time frames. But Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins had touched base on some of Daryl Morey's statements. And with the spotlight being on him, they started looking at some of his credentials and what's been going on with the 76ers as of recently. A lot of truths are starting to unfold, especially with Joel Embiid and his most recent statements. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
5 years later, one, I don't even know if Daryl Morey was in the bubble, right? Like, I don't even know if he was there, right? Like, that's what I want to know. That's number one. Number two, we're not going to start this asterisk by the bubble championship. I wasn't in the bubble, but I did cover the bubble. I was on television, and I was watching when guys were getting eliminated, and I was seeing some of the guys. Damian Lillard said it felt like he did a bid. It felt like he was in jail. Like, it tested your mental toughness. One could argue that it's probably one of the hardest championships to accomplish. Forget an asterisk. When you talk about being away from your family, being basically locked up in one place, and probably having to eat the same damn food every single day.
Yep, that nasty ass cafeteria food that they were eating. I mean, these guys are multi-millionaire athletes. Some of them even have personal chefs. And the food was so bad that even Kawhi Leonard was cooking up tacos for the Clipper players. A lot of these guys were going through it after the games because any activities as well as practice was limited because people would have to go through certain protocols to even be all in the same place together. Even Jimmy Butler came up with his coffee business that he's running pretty successfully today.
Well, God knows what type of practice course they had to do, seeing your opponent on a day-to-day basis, figuring out certain things. The pandemic was a toll on everybody in the world, let alone guys having to go down there and compete at the highest level. Also, you don't have the fans, which some people say, oh, well, that's a reason to put an asterisk by it. No, it's not. It's even harder to be motivated, right? It's even harder to be motivated when.
And it took away that circus-like environment with fans, mascot, cheerleaders, a lot of outside things besides the game going on the court. So with an environment that looks like that, that's where you had a lot of role players, guys like TJ Warren having multiple games where he's dropping 40 points a night. These guys were just straight up in a gym, and it probably felt more like a scrimmage instead of a nationally televised professional game.
You don't have fans there when you're down 10 to 15 points. If you're at a home game, your fans can help you get through games of having home court advantage. If that's the case, then we can all say, you know what? Every lockout year, when the Spurs won it and the Miami Heat won it, let's put an asterisk by theirs too. Because
wait, Perk, and don't forget that we did the bubble year, then went right into another season a month later. We remember that wasn't a normal season. We gloss over that we went into who won the championship after the Lakers? Bucks. So again, remember we had another season. So remember we had 3 champions in like 18 months. All of that got screwed. Now I was in the bubble. I spent the last 40 days with the bubble. I was there to cover the conference finals and the finals. And when I tell you it was a mental toughness stretch, for anybody that says it, tell me why there's an asterisk.
And it definitely was a mental stretch, even for the people covering the league. That's how Malika Andrews had her rise to be the front-facing anchor for ESPN. A lot of her colleagues did not want to leave their families at home to go into that bubble. She was knee-deep covering every aspect of the game and what was going on with the players. Love her or hate her, she earned that spot to be one of the front-facing anchors for that network.
Every player had the exact same formula. Every player had the exact same courts. Every player had to deal with no crowd. Home court advantage was taken away. That favors the lesser teams. There's no crowds. Younger players play better at home. Role players play better at home. So now every game is a home game.
And some of the role players low-key play better with no crowds. A lot of the games definitely had a rec center feel to it.
For the young players, every game is a home game for the role players. These are statistically proven facts. Young players play better at home. role players play better at home. So you negate all of that and you put them in one gym and you say the last man standing. The Lakers were the number one team all year long. They were dominant, top 2 all year long, one of the best defenses all year long. And now 5 years later, we're going to look at that. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just don't believe that unless you were in there and you had to play it and deal with the mental toughness that it required. There were shortened seasons with Miami, shortened seasons with the Spurs. Are you going to say anything about those organizations? You can put multiple asterisks on multiple seasons. But I know for a fact that the Lakers had to go in there and they outlasted every single team. Tell Jimmy Butler, who almost died of exhaustion leaning over, that there was going to be an asterisk. That is BS. That is people wanting to downplay it. And that's the part that, like, okay, fine, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's not factually based.
And a lot of the people that are downplay it tend to be those that are addicted to the back and forth of the GOAT conversation between Jordan and LeBron. I'm sure when someone brings up the ring count, the idea probably gets thrown out there that the 2020 championship doesn't count. But again, when discussing these dynamics, a lot of nuances need to get brought up, because if you truly want to do a ring count, you should count Bill Russell's. But the reason why a lot of the NBA community as a whole does not necessarily look at it that way, because they factor in the nuances of the league at the time having a lot less teams.
Denver came back from multiple 3-1s. And 2 shooting percentages were up. Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson were because there was no crowds, there was no booing, there was no heckling. So I'm saying that it was more difficult because it was more of a level playing field. That is, it's just the truth.
We had some all-time great performances in the bubble postseason.
Facts. That Donovan Mitchell versus Jamal Murray does not get talked about enough. Also with Jokic, that was his warning to the rest of the league that he was on his way. Maybe years from now, when they look back at his career when he retires, they're going to look at that 2020 bubble series with the Clippers as his true rise into performing at a high level against great teams.
Remember, like Dame Dollar, what he did in the play-in tournament to get
Devin Booker
to face the Lakers, Devin Booker, right? You remember the battle between Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray? Like Jamal Murray and them coming back and bouncing back down 3-1. The fucking numbers that LeBron and AD put up.
Woo, AD. That doesn't get talked about enough either. For Laker fans, that was prime AD. That was the best version that they saw of AD the whole time that he was there. And some of you could check the replay of those finals. After game 1 and 2, AD was really the front runner for MVP, especially because of his defense. But him getting hurt in, I believe, game 3 or 4, that right there really cost him from getting that trophy. In the first 2 games, he was getting the defensive stops. He was getting the clutch buckets. AD was doing everything. LeBron was killing it too, don't get me wrong. But AD was doing it at both ends of the floor.
The NBA Finals in the bubble, Jimmy Butler had like a 40-point triple-double in the, like, we had some all-time great performances in the bubble.
This is one thing real hoopers know. Put us in a gym. This goes back to your AAU days, right? When you're battling against the number 10 player or the number 2 team, put us in a gym. There's 70 people in there, and we're going to battle it out like our lives depended on it. Put us in a gym. Let us go to work. Get all the crowds out of here. Get all the BS out of here. It is 10 guys versus 10 guys, and we are going at it. This is pride. And that, to me, reminded me of old school competitive AAU high school basketball, where the environments were very, very like chill. It wasn't a college environment. It wasn't NBA. It was AAU, the basketball that you grew up in. That's what it felt like to me.
This is basically the hardwood floors and the empty stands. And I'm talking about those long bench stands. That's the aura and feeling a lot of those games give you, even watching it today. If you catch the replays online in a platform like YouTube, etc. The bubble really showed you that fans in the stands with all the hooplas, the celebrities courtside, that really changed the whole dynamic of how the game even feels. So going back to the original reason of why we're reflecting on the 2020 bubble and Daryl Morey making those statements, now we're going to look underneath his hood. As almost in a reverse Uno card, the spotlight is now on him and what's going on with the 76ers, and looking at his quick historical rise as being known as one of the better GMs in the NBA. But that really has been proven to be media narrative due to the fact that he's so analytically driven. Don't get me wrong, Daryl Morey is a great deal maker. He did prove with the James Harden move to the Rockets, originally from OKC, that he did have a good eye for potential star talent. And he's a great deal maker when it comes to the trades. That guy was pulling rabbits out of his ass. I don't know how the hell he was pulling these moves. But at the end of the day, with all the talent that he's seen come through the door, he has not even one finals appearance. And as of right now, things are not looking too good in Philly.
Again, I think Daryl Morey has done good things. I think there's areas in which he has struggled, just like any coach, just like any player. For a player, like Perk says, for your organization to be in the state that you are in, for you to have never won a championship as an executive, but one of the most well-known executives and has had all NBAs and MVPs, to never have won a championship, I'm okay with you talking about the mental state that people were in the bubble, but I just find it difficult for you to downplay someone else's championship where you have yet to go through that path.
Now, after yet another lackluster season for the 76ers where they dealt with injuries as well as guys not necessarily being up to par, especially Paul George for the 40 games he was on the floor. Keep in mind the 76ers do have a narrow window to capitalize on Joel Embiid's opportunity to compete for a championship. He came into the league with durability issues, and as he ages, he's getting into his early 30s. His situation was really never meant to last long. He's already been through a whole saga in Philly before leading up to this point, dealing with the whole Ben Simmons fiasco, getting rid of Jimmy Butler and keeping Tobias Harris during that offseason after losing to Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors. That was a move that Jimmy Butler let it be known that he had issues with the way Ben Simmons was carrying himself, and the 76ers let him walk because of that clash. Also before then, the Markelle Fultz situation, them getting rid of the Jason Tatum pick, getting Fultz, and that being dragged out for a season or two, which led to nothing. Also the James Harden beef with Daryl Morey after he almost came to the team as a get-out-of-jail-free card from the whole Ben Simmons saga. But yet again, the 76ers got another get-out-of-jail-free card with their draft pick Tyrese Maxey, who come up real quick as a 21st pick and proved to be a nice co-star next to Joel Embiid for that 1-2 punch with the pick and roll. And of course, the final part that we're up to now with Paul George coming into the team as a free agent, but injuries even before he arrived to the team and current day is breaking his body down, so he's not lasting as long. Now that has led the 76ers to getting a top 3 pick in the lottery. Embiid's head must be spinning because trust me, mine is right now just having a recollection of all this. But within that interview that he gave this offseason, he let it be known that the 76ers rushing him back to play injured has put him in the position that he's at now. Let's check it out.
Feeding into the pressure of you got to play, got to go out there, can't let people down. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm in this position now.
With the narrow window that he has, the fact that the 76ers still owe him $193 million until the 28-29 season, the pressure is definitely on. Because since joining the 76ers in 2014, out of 880 games, he's only played about 450. So for his career so far, he has almost as equal amount of games missed as games played. And who knows, with the statement we just heard, he could be questioning the 76ers overall as far as how they're looking out for his well-being. But he also revealed that he has some trust issues with the 76ers. Remember the story of Tyrese Maxey calling him out during a team meeting? Those two guys have a really great relationship, so it's out of love. But why did the information leak out the very next day? You guys check out what he had to say.
Whoever leaked that is a real piece of shit. I know who leaked it, but I'm not going to say. The past is the past. The one thing I'll say is, it's hard being around people that do those sorts of stuff. That goes back to the trust thing. Once you cross that shit, you can't expect me to be part of a team meeting again. That's just not going to happen.
Now, I'm not a fucking detective, But I can get a magnifying glass and put it real close to the 76ers and just look through their paperwork historically, as this organization kept the information really tight about what was going on with Markelle Fultz when he had arrived and his elbow injury, or just his injury overall. Most NBA fans, even to this day, outside of 76ers fans, don't know what happened to him. Same thing for Ben Simmons. There was always a lot of chirping what was going on behind the scenes with him and Embiid, but nothing leaked out. But all of a sudden, when Daryl Morey arrives in 2020, and a few seasons later, him and James Harden have that back and forth about his contract extension, out of nowhere, information started to leak out. And of course, tying this all in most recently, the situation with Tyrese Maxey calling out Embiid. This is where shit kind of gets fishy. Let's see. We have Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, Chris Paul, Patrick Beverley. They all have one thing in common. They've all appeared on multiple media platforms calling Daryl Morey a liar. But hey, we'll see where this gets at. With these kind of optics going against Joel Embiid, his days in Philly could be numbered. You guys definitely hit up the link in the description below. We got more NBA stories like this. Also different kinds of playlists on game film, mixed in with a little bit of storytelling and certain nuances. Until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.